Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
And Shelby.
from the Garden of Eater, and today we're going to talk about our biggest failures, our biggest mistakes in the shrimp hobby. And before I start off, I got to mention that throughout our entire shrimp hobby, we've had a lot less issues with shrimp than we have with fish, reptiles, birds, dogs, cats, you name it. Shrimp have been the easiest pet we've ever had to take care of. And, well, the proof is 438 tanks. Only like 90 of them are Shelby's fish tanks. And if there was any more fish tanks, we wouldn't be able to travel as much as we do. And the shrimp by far are the easiest to take care of, period. Like the last time we did a water change on this rack was on one of the live streams. I was like, yeah, we just did this yesterday. You can see it looks fresh and clean. Well, it's kind of grown back now. There's a lot of shrimp in tanks that there wasn't shrimp in. There's been a couple other things, even without the water change. They're still fine, thriving, producing babies, doing really well. And it's just easy maintenance overall. So almost all of the issues that we've ever had with shrimp were our fault. And I've come up with a wonderful list, a lot of good stories on this list. But basically, the number one issue that people have and the number one killer for all of shrimp, and yeah, we are responsible for doing this ourselves, is overfeeding. You put too much food in the tank, you don't go back up and check on it, and it creates an ammonia spike, one dead shrimp, snowballs, domino effect, more dead shrimp, and before you know it, you've got to do a water change to get caught up on clean parameters to stop having dead bodies dropping. So don't overfeed. It's happened to us several times. There's no good stories to it or anything like that. I just felt like the best thing to do was to start it off with that fact is the number one killer is feeding in the hobby. Everybody's issues usually is because of overfeeding. Now, whether or not you cycled your aquarium for 30 days to build up enough biofilm and you were overfeeding to feed off because there was no biofilm in the tank or whatever, basically it boils down to too much food in the aquarium and not enough bacteria to cycle it out. So the rest of these all have a good story for them, I promise. And to start it off is don't chase parameters. In the very beginning, sorry. In the very beginning, we were trying to do this tank at 150 TDS, this tank at 110 TDS, this tank at 160, and it was a lot more work than what it should have been. And because of that, things suffered. Not badly or anything like that, but there's definitely tanks where they could have done a lot better if we had just leveled everything out at 150 TDS and kept things more stable from the very beginning. We didn't have, a lot of casualties because of this mistake, but in the very beginning, we could have been breeding a lot more shrimp if we had just stuck with 150 TDS, stuck with the salty shrimp salts that we got with in the very beginning, and we didn't go chasing that, snake oil or that new method that is going to, increase numbers or baby pollution or population or anything like that. So for us, chasing different parameters and not just keeping a steady, stable regimen and sticking to the schedule, sticking to the exacts for all the tanks is one of the key to our success on why we're able to breed out all of our own shrimp, not have to buy and resell and import and stuff like that. So really wish in the very beginning we had stuck to this method. And once upon a time we thought 55 aquariums were all we could keep because we were chasing these parameters. And then I think once we got to 150 aquariums, I was like, all right, this is the way to go, and we can even do more. So keeping everything as consistent as possibly can for your own shrimp keeping abilities is what I would stick to and don't change anything up. You got something for me? A question?
Dr. Anthony says that the orange-eyed tangerine tiger shrimp got back from you way back when are only black-eyed tangerines now.
I never gave you orange-eyed tangerine tiger shrimp, so
I don't think we've
never
ever
had.
sold any.
Yeah, we've never even had orange-eyed tiger shrimp, so I don't think they were orange-eyed. They were just normal tangerine tigers.
I'd be surprised if he let any of those go because I'm not even allowed to have any. He's got like 3 tanks of them, but I'm not allowed to pick any of them.
But they're like orange-eyed green tigers. They're not like a true orange-eyed tiger
Yeah,
shrimp.
they're mixed because obviously you have to mix them with something in order to get the orange eyes. The orange eyes don't come from the tangerines, so.
And then one of our other biggest mistakes was getting plants and not quarantining them properly, not treating them and cleaning them out. We had one issue where one of the plants that we got had a dragonfly nymph on it. I fed all the shrimp in the aquarium one day, and we had probably 200 plus orange shrimp in there. And then on top of the orange neocaridina, we also had only 10 red tiger shrimp. I had just gotten them, didn't have them for very long, but the orange neocaridina shrimp I was working on for quite some time. We got like 6 different bags from different breeders and put together a solid colony of like 10 shrimp from like 10 to 20 of the shrimp that I bought from each person, and bred them out to like 200 shrimp. So after some work on those, added some red tigers to the tank, fed them, and I never really saw any of the red tigers on the food. You just see a pile of orange neocaridinas. Well, one day I fed them, big pile, and then about 2 more days later, we got a massive wipeout of the orange neocaridina. I couldn't see anything. Looking through the aquarium, I see the red tigers. They're actually eating on the pile. This is a new one. So I went through and like tore apart the tank trying to look for any of the orange neocaridina. And what I found was a dragonfly nymph. So within 48 hours, because we feed every other day, that nymph had devoured an entire colony of orange neocaridina. I don't know if the nymph's eyesight was just it couldn't see red tiger shrimp, or it knew that the red tigers were more expensive and it didn't want to get evicted. It thought it could eat the cheaper ones and be okay. Well, I was not fine with that. I was very upset, and from now on, I definitely quarantine and clean plants. I'm sorry, before I add them into our tanks. That's also how you get hydra and planaria. And then, like the first time we got planaria, we try to go ahead and treat that with the dog dewormer, the fish benzanol or whatever it's called. And I didn't know that also wiped out the bacteria in the filter. So now we use no planaria. We don't have as much of a cycle crash, and we're able to get rid of the planaria when we have it. But we treat with the no planaria. That's what we dip all of our plants in now, and we don't have issues with planaria in the house, except for when we bring in like some fish or something like that from one of the clubs, and there's like that random piece of floater that we just forgot to quarantine, and now there's a little bit of planaria in the house, but it's all good. Use it for a video one day. Yeah, it's that tank right there. See the little arrow? That means the tank has planaria.
Oh, you just want me to move my fish over?
I mean, there's fish in there. That's like you have little guppy or Achilles in there.
One tiger teddy.
No, the tiger teddy's in the.
No, that's the tiger teddy. It says it at the top.
Okay, touche.
One tiger teddy. I can't keep. I don't know what it is about those tiger teddies. They don't like me. Nope, just one. And she had gotten pregnant, and then nothing. I don't know what happened. So. Abstract said, Grant, would you be able to keep a natural dirty-ish tank if your shrimp are thriving and breeding or not?
I mean, I could, but like, I'd rather not let it get dirtyish. I like the moss to thrive. I like to be able to see the babies. And when people come over, I prefer the tanks not to look like they're full of mulm and algae. So, I mean, I could. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, could you live with dirty floors and not sweep after your dogs? It's like the same thing to me.
Yeah, to me, nothing's wrong with it. It's, I mean, in nature, their ponds of water are usually dirty. You just got to remember it's also being filtered and cleaned out. So to say like the extent of dirty, I would say one of our ponds outside is still doing okay. It's completely green water compared to all the other ponds. I've never had any other ones go green water but this one. And I would say that the breeding did go down for a little bit, but it's still doing okay. But it is extremely hard to know what you're doing in the tank because you can't see it. So it's a lot harder to cull. It's a lot harder to take care of things. So your quality of your shrimp will go down unless it's like a wild shrimp tank. You really want to keep it clean as you can so you can know what you're doing and have higher quality of shrimp coming out of there.
And then let me also put this from a different perspective. Would you rather swim in a beautiful, crystal clean river without any mulm and algae and detritus and stuff like that around? Or would you rather swim in like a canal where everything's just been stagnant and, things are getting fed, but like the water is not being replaced and things are still breeding and living, but which one would you rather swim in? That's the one I want to keep.
Back to you.
Back to me. All right. So yeah, just make sure that you quarantine your plants. We've got some tissue cultures actually available of some different mosses from Tropica left over from the show last week. Flame, Weeping, Christmas moss, and Spiky. They're $13 a cup. You don't have to quarantine tissue cultures. It's the only thing. We have a ton of people that don't like snails. The Bloomfields asked us to bring in a bunch of snail-free moss portions. Only way to do that is through tissue cultures. So we do have some extras left over, but other than tissue cultures, make sure you clean out your plants. There's several different ways. I just found that the no planaria method of cleaning your plants out does the less damage to the plants and still gets rid of planaria, scuds if you leave them long enough. Just like, you should know if you have scuds in it or not. They're pretty easy to figure out. But it definitely wipes out hydra and most of the things that you would worry about in your shrimp tank. You got another one for me?
Yeah, Mike said, are you celebrities down under yet? What are your thoughts on the reception of the 2-hour tour?
So I wouldn't say we're celebrities down under, but with Australia, there's like a good little small shrimp hobby group already, and we were already a part of that. Somebody was trying to get like a shrimp contest going out there, so we've already helped them. We've got Craig. I see Craig in there already. A couple messages down below this, so we've already had like a pretty good relationship with our Australian crowd. But Nick's video is definitely something that a lot of people have been asking for, a tour video. They've been wanting one from us personally, and it's just we're too busy to like just put one together for ourselves. But when we plan it out for it to happen on like the 12th of February, like that's easy to accomplish. But when it's, like you want to do that this weekend, we've got better things to do usually, and it doesn't usually get done. So the tour video itself was good for a lot of people to see what's going on. And then we also have Sasha's tour video, so you can kind of see like where the house is at right now. You can see we've added some tanks here and there, but you can tell I haven't scraped any of the aquariums since Nick has been here. Everything's been water changed. Like there's no algae. The tanks are clean. The water's clear, but the glass is just dirty after not being scraped for so long. But I definitely seen a little increase in sales, which is nice. So the video is definitely more than worth it just getting to meet Nick. So this is all like residual afters. And it's nice to see somebody else's aspect or
view.
Thank you. A different angle, different view of the house and how they put it together. A few people have done tours of our house, and Nick had a very specific way of doing it. And you don't really, get that any other way other than finding new people to come by and tour your house. So I really enjoyed Nick's tour. We watched it the 2 hours on the way home that we drove from North Carolina in the very beginning. So it definitely helped kill some time. And I really appreciate all the new subscribers and the fans that we got from doing the video. And I can't wait to go over to Australia, though, and hang out with Nick and a couple of the others that we've talked to, Jason and man, I'm forgetting the other guy's name. But yeah, it's been a couple weeks or months since we've talked about them. But yeah, there's definitely a couple characters over in Australia that I'd like to go collecting with.
I enjoyed the fact that it's a 2-hour one. He did film for multiple days, so it's not something you can really cram into a smaller video. I know there was some people that were complaining it was too long or it's too boring, but I think shrimp people that actually like shrimp and not just fish enjoy it and realize like how many different types of shrimp we have and get to see that. And then the quality of the B-roll that he did of just the shrimp individually is incredible. Like, so I just love watching that part, if anything, and very appreciative of that. That's a lot of work. That's not easy to do. So for someone to put out a 2-hour video, I hope people look past the fact that it's so long and just realize how much work goes into that and appreciate someone's art and appreciation for the hobby to do something that incredible. Like, I really appreciate it. And then What Sleeves Aquatic said, can you have Daphnia and shrimp in the same tank? Yes, but Daphnia need green water.
They don't need green water, but they need dirtier water. So they definitely need some type of powdered food being added into the aquarium, or a source of just debris that's being broken up in the aquarium with a good power head or something like that. But at the same time, power heads can be a no-no for them. So
right, too much flows. I just know that most people that are successful with Daphnia have green water for them in no flow in a tank, and they do really well. So you can put shrimp in there if you want to too. Like wilds or something like
Lucas
that.
Lucas Pretz has Daphnia and shrimp in his tanks, but he doesn't have any filtration going on. And when he does his water changes, he's definitely losing Daphnia. But because they're shrimp tanks, they repopulate themselves without the fish eating.
I think he has videos of those too.
Down, yeah.
I think we actually have a video of it. Back to you.
All right, so now we get to the heavy hitters. This is one of our biggest fails. Shelby was on a plane ride, and I'll give you guys the short version. If you want the long version, we do have an entire video on this, on the Aquachar video, but pretty much we put flea meds on the dogs. The dog's hair afterwards ended up in 21 of our aquariums here in our living room. I panicked because I saw the shrimp were zigzagging through the air and then gliding down on their backs and then just kind of laying on their backs, like just barely wiggling their arms and legs. One of the tanks, there was already some dead shrimp in the tank, but the majority of the 20 other aquariums, there wasn't really too much loss. And I was able to spring into action and throw in a handful of Aquachar into each one of the aquariums. And within a minute, all of the shrimp that were on their backs, like clinging on to life, were walking around like nothing ever happened. The Aquachar didn't bring back the one tank where it had some dead casualties in it. Like the dead didn't come back alive, but all the other shrimp in the aquarium where there was, some strugglers, lethargic looking shrimp. Within a minute, everything acted like it was perfectly fine. Still to this day, the Aquachar is in the aquarium. I never took it out. I did start doing like massive water changes So I did do some water changes on top of the Aquachar, but that story right there is the reason why we keep Aquachar on our website, and it was the first product that we sold on our website. Um, Ryan, who didn't create Aquachar, but he was the person who was selling it, a good friend of mine from Aquascaping, and he was trying to get me to try out this product with the Caridina shrimp. And I'd already mentioned on this live stream where I had stopped trying to do new things. Like, if you wanted me to do something new, it had to be like from 6 of the top best breeders in the world, or else I wasn't going to try it. So the Aquachar to me just wasn't going to happen. But I had a lot of dead shrimp already, and I was trying to prevent any of the other shrimp from dying. So I sprung into action with the Aquachar. It worked, and because it worked in the field, I saw it firsthand. It saved thousands of dollars worth of shrimp for us. I kept it, and we still sell it on on our website to this day. So make sure you don't have any chemicals or anything like that able to get into your shrimp tanks. But this does pretty much boil down to, in the living room at the time, I was working on, for every aquarium we add into the house, I make 2 lids, because our tanks didn't have lids at the time. Not all of them, anyways. So if I set up a rack for 32 aquariums, I made 64 lids. And that's just the way we caught up on all the lids into the house. But at that time, we had 21 tanks in the living room that didn't have lids. All the tanks that had lids had no problems at all. So definitely, if you're going to have a shrimp tank, I recommend having a lid. We have a lot of aquariums that don't have lids. Like right now, the video we just set up is the high-tech Caridina shrimp tank. It doesn't have a lid on it. It's in the kitchen. It's risky. But I'm hoping that the high powered filtration and everything like that, I'll probably eventually do some type of lid on there, even if it's like DIY, and get somebody to cut some glass or some nicer acrylic other than the double uh, polycarbonated panels. But having the lids on there definitely would have helped when Layla threw in the quesadilla into the Aurora Blue Tiger tank. She was maybe 2 or 3 years old, just able to walk. Gave her a quesadilla, was doing some water changes, didn't notice that she walked over, and I don't know if she just wanted to feed the shrimp, or if she just was tired of the quesadilla or what, and threw it into the aquarium. But I didn't notice it until dinner, and when I went and grabbed it, it was just mush. And our lids to this day are still not easy to open up, because I kind of like the fact that they're like child proof, and kids in the future will not be able to put quesadillas in my aquariums.
Jen said, how do you deal with Hydra once they're already in your tank? I've seen 2 in one of my tanks, but know there are more in the others, and that more that are coming.
So we have a video on how to get rid of planaria in a shrimp aquarium, and doing the no planaria dose will also get rid of Hydra. I haven't had Hydra since the very beginning of our shrimp keeping, and I believe we had Hydra and planaria, and I got rid of all of it with the fish fenbenzol, and it was a nightmare. And I haven't had any Hydra since, so I haven't been able to test this out personally. But rumor has it that a half dose of no planaria will kill off your Hydra. Just the only thing I gotta point out and repeat myself on it is, dose the no planaria at nighttime. Turn off all the lights. When the lights come on in the morning, do a large water change, as large as you feel comfortable with doing, and the Hydra should be gone. The no planaria will not be diluted with any of the light, and it's the least amount of time that the bacteria is exposed to a chemical that is killing single-celled organisms. So a lot of people recommend turning off your filter, but at the same time, if you don't have an air stone or something else going, I wouldn't do that. So you definitely want some type of oxygen constantly going in the tank when you dose this. Anything else from it?
Yeah. Nate said that he's glad that we heard or talked about the aquachar before. It saved him a couple times. And then Frank said, "How do you do the no planaria soak for plants?" I think that's in our video.
So also with the aquachar, we've painted Layla's room, and the tank that was too close to Layla's room, the shrimp started acting lethargic. Even with a lid on the aquarium, added some aquachar into the tank, never lost any shrimp. We have a massive problem with fire ants in the south, and we have to constantly stay on top of them with the kids. And I added some ponds, forgot about it, but I'm used to every 2 to 3 months I walk the same path to lay the fire ant killer every 2 to 3 months, and just forgot that I laid ponds there, turned the corner, and got insecticide in all of the ponds instead of freaking out and doing a water change. Not all the ponds, but just one on the corner before I saw the rest. Threw in a couple of handfuls of aquachar, never did a water change, never lost any of the fish in there. So I highly recommend having some aquachar on hand in the medicine cabinet. And then Frank, to just soak the no planaria. Basically, if the no planaria, I'm going off the top of my head, 1 scoop does 8 liters or something like that. I pretty much do double or triple the amount of dosage for the plants with a smaller amount of water, and just let it soak overnight. Make sure that the entire plants are covered and submerged. You really can't overdose the planaria on this treatment. So the depending on where it came from, if it has scuds, I usually do like quadruple the dose, if not more, and let it soak for 2 or 3 days. If it's coming from somebody else's shrimp tank and they say that there's no pest on it, I'll just do double the dose and go ahead and let them soak overnight before adding them to the aquarium.
What shrimp did you put in that tank?
The yellow neocardinas.
Some of them haven't blended in yet. They're like white, so I was like, "There's no way you put Snowball on."
Well, they were in the bag for a couple weeks, so.
I know. It was just today. I figure they'll take a couple days to color up, but. And then Brandon said, "I'm hoping to breed orange-eye species, ideally orange-eye red devils with some pythons. Is that even possible? I need orange-eye pythons in my life one day."
So, yeah, you could definitely do that. It would take a couple of generations of work, and I'm not sure how many, but it could be as little as 3. It could be as many as 10 to 13. But you can definitely cross orange-eyed red devils with some red pythons or black pythons, whatever you wanted to do that with. Back to me.
I miss my old phone now. It had everybody's name saved, so I don't spell people's names wrong. So spell your name wrong in chat tonight. My bad. Back to you.
All right. So once upon a time, we only had 55 aquariums, but we had like 35 aquariums or 45 aquariums, but we had 55 types of shrimp. And the way we did that was we mixed our tiger shrimp with our neocaridina. Like the red tigers were with the orange neos. We had tangerine tigers with blue dreams or blue diamonds. And then one day I had a really nice, great aquarium of yellow neocaridinas without the backstripe. These things were solid color. They were throwing some culls, but still no backline. Not a lot of people had this, and still to this day, it's a rare strain. Wish I kept these all by themselves. But we had gotten some shrimp in. They were just normal, regular tiger shrimp. Nothing special, no color or anything like that. Wild tiger shrimp. And we had added them to the yellow Neocaridina tank because all the other Neos had other tiger shrimp with them. And well, this was the first experience that I got where uh, the yellow Neos started dropping like flies, and the tiger shrimp were perfectly fine. Never lost any of the tiger shrimp. Now, before in the past, when we got the red tigers and I added them to the orange Neos, if I bought 14 red tigers, I might have lost like 2 transitioning them over to my tap water conditions or my Neocaridina parameters. But this was the first time where I added shrimp from another source, and the shrimp that were dying were my shrimp. And the only thing that I thought back to was when we had bought koi fish from a certain breeder, and they were just insistent that we never buy koi fish from any other ponds because they could have illnesses that these koi fish aren't, immune to and don't have any immunity or whatever built up. So, you lose massive amounts of koi, yada yada yada. And I thought that was always just like a ploy from the seller to try and get me to just buy their koi fish and no other koi. Because then I was like, oh, what about quarantining them? And they're like, oh yeah, but it's in their gut biome and stuff like that. But when it was introduced to the yellows out of the wild, it just reminded me also of like smallpox, where the certain individuals had an immunity to the disease and it wasn't that bad of a problem, but the individuals that did not have any immunity and this was their first time being exposed to the virus, which had mutated at that point, just wiped out an entire bustling colony of yellow Neos without the backline. So the lesson learned here is don't mix shrimp. I know it's nice to keep like a whole bunch of shrimp into one tank. If that's the only thing that you can do, then by all means, that's for you. You do what you need to do to make that happen. But if you're trying to breed and you want the maximum outcome possible, just don't mix up your shrimp. Keep them separated.
Peplin Creek Aquatics member for 18 months. Thank you so much. Said Shelby and Grant, good evening. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being such a member for a long time. Now, if you do hit that 12-month membership, do not forget to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com or make a comment if you make a purchase through the website in the notes and let us know to add it into your box. You do get a membership print, which I couldn't find those today, so help me find those.
They are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I had one available, but we'll send that out, and then you get a thank you card and everything for that, and your 12-month membership discount as well to our website. So thank you very much for that. And then Easy V Rider, member for 15 months. Thank you so much. Says, why are the ugly shrimp so fast? They really are. And they're the fastest to breed too. Like I was telling him, I just culled one of our ponds and I went to like swoop up today and I was like, no way. I got to cull again. Like, and it's so hot outside right now. It's miserable. And I was like, how did you breed so fast? And it's all these little tiny babies and you can tell they aren't good.
On top of that, it's Stardust too, because they are ridiculously fast. I caught raccoons. Raccoons and Stardust have a very similar attitude when they're eating and stuff like that. But I was able to catch the raccoon tigers no problem today with a smaller net. The Stardust are
which tank?
That one down there.
Crazy.
The Stardust are just incredibly fast, and not only that, but when you pull them out of the water, they're able to swim through the net and almost jump out of the net sometimes. So yeah, I agree. The ugly ones are faster. And instead of good looks, they're blessed with speed.
I feel like they're closer to being wild, so they have their more nature ability. I can't think of the word. Yes, thank you. That's what I'm trying. Their instincts. Just used to it. Back to you.
All right. So another one of our biggest issues, and this is also very common when people are messaging us and they've got dead shrimp and they're trying to figure it out, bacterial infections are usually caused by two things. One is heat. The other one is pulling up a plant with a bunch of roots in the aquarium, and for whatever reason, in shrimp tanks, there's a little bit of food, a bunch of gas pockets and stuff built up in the aquarium, and you've just got to avoid pulling up any crypts or swords or anything that has been rooted into the substrate for that matter. I like to keep Malaysian trumpet snails in there. It definitely helps with this problem, but almost every time I pull up roots in an aquarium, I get a bacterial infection in the shrimp. So definitely avoid messing with any of the runners or anything like that until you get the shrimp out of the aquarium, or if you do have to do it with like tweezers, cut out the roots so that way they're not pulling up too many of them, and then do a massive water change after you do it. And then we have some of the Plamsky cure. If you do start to see any deaths, you can start to treat it with that. I understand sometimes rescapes are absolute must. It's hard to cull shrimp. It's hard to take pictures and stuff like that when plants decide to grow in the wrong spots, and you got to get them out of there sometimes. But just know it's risky business. I didn't know that when I first started out in the hobby, and there's a lot of people that come to us with issues and they didn't know about it either. I almost forgot about that one. Shelby added that one to the list.
To add one more little thing about that is actually the most problems that happen with the bacterial is when people are moving their tank. They slosh that substrate. That's why we do like the Malaysian trumpet snails, because they do take a care of the substrate a lot more, and you have less chances of that bacteria breaking out. But you both are something else tonight. He came in here twice, and they just want some loves. But most people that I know that said that they have a bacteria, they'll have, and signs of that will be usually one of them dropping at a time, and you've done a water change and it's still happening. You don't know what's going on. It's usually a sign that you have a bacterial infection from moving the tank, and that happens.
I figured out what's going on with the dogs, though. There is a fluid flex box
I can't lay down.
and a ladder blocking off their beds. So
they're both like, you're torturing us.
You had to ask nicely for us to figure that one out. Well, we got there. So Shelby had added that last one to the list, and it she was kind of saying some other stuff, so I was like, we haven't really had any losses from it. So there's some other things down the list where we had a couple issues, and I know other people have lost shrimp, so it made it onto the list. But I decided to add this one onto the list because it is one of the ones where we ended up losing shrimp. And in the very beginning, I said we didn't really have any issues where we lost any shrimp, but this is definitely a scenario where we lost shrimp. So don't lose your power and lose AC to where your temperatures and stuff like that can shift. Basically, what I learned out of this is we keep all of the really rare and expensive shrimp in Jaden's room that has the wall unit AC vent that we can power with the generator in case the power goes out. The other thing is we don't keep any of the Hummel, any of the tiger shrimp, or Tai bees or Taiwan bees up at the very high tanks because they do get the warmest, heat rises. So yeah, if you can avoid losing power and you have like a propane generator for the entire house, that's great. We'll definitely add one of those to a house in the future. We just don't want to add that here. But if you do lose AC in the summer, and the tanks go from cold to really warm really fast, it is another way for your shrimp to get bacterial infections and pass away. When we lost power during the Hurricane Irma, We had no power for 21 hours. We lost it at 9 o'clock at night. It didn't come on until 6 o'clock the next day. And at that point, the house was already up to 84 degrees, and the actual AC to the house didn't catch up with the temperatures until like 1 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember exactly what time, but it was like one of the hottest days I could ever remember. And when we finally got power back on, all of the lights were turned back on, and I could finally see what was going on with the shrimp. There was only 5 tanks out of 155 tanks that had issues, and the other 150 aquariums, if there was a shrimp in the tank that wasn't pregnant, that could be pregnant, she was after the lights came back on. So the warm temperatures definitely got the shrimp going, but we lost some stardust, some blue bolts, some red tigers, and 2 other aquariums. I can't remember now. It seems to have faded my.
Cora said, would Daphnia and Opa Ula be a good mix? They both eat the, don't ask me to pronounce that, spirulina powder. I don't know if Daphnia can handle brackish water.
I don't think they can.
That's the only issue. Yeah. And then you would really want, they both breed pretty fast if you are keeping them in good conditions. So if they were able to breed together, I would say you would need a larger tank for it, because the Opa Ula like just take over, honestly. So, to be putting spirulina powder in there and Daphnia, it would just be crazy to me. You would need like a big, large volume for those to do like successful to me.
And for our Opa Ula, we just feed regular shrimp pellets, and they do really well.
Justin said the emeralds and blue diamonds you sold him are doing good.
Glad to hear.
And then I think that's it.
And then this next one is for Shelby. Don't forget to put the dechlorinator in your aquarium.
I'm glad I don't use it that much.
There's one
I'll
one
have a whole
tank,
fish room for it.
one tank that Shelby did not like very much. And I came home from work one day, and I swore she had done it on purpose, but she had just simply forgot the dechlorinator for the aquarium.
Here's where your theory is wrong, that I wanted to kill them. It wasn't that I didn't want the shrimp. I just didn't want them inside in a 55-gallon tank. I thought it was wasteful. I wanted them out in the pond where they belong, because they're giant prawn shrimp. They're cool. Don't get me wrong, but they belong outside, not taking up a 55-gallon tank. And it was just them.
Filtration outside.
Yeah, it was just them.
Sponges for the babies to breathe.
It was just them. So I was like just annoyed that these shrimp were taking up a tank. Like, they're not as cute. They're kind of freaky looking. And then every time someone comes over, they can actually look at the shrimp and you'd be like, oh, well, you could eat these ones. But no, it was dechlorinator is one of the worst things to forget. I'm about to start a new fish. We haven't had to have dechlorinator for I only have like some of the tanks, and they're not getting as frequent as the water changes, but they will once the room is built, because they're all going in the room. So let's just hope I always remember the prime. I think we should make that trash can specifically have a sign on it that says, don't forget the prime, and then just a picture of a prawn shrimp under it. The trauma. I felt so bad too. It looked like I really did it, and I would never intentionally ever kill something ever, even if I don't like it. There's some ugly fish. Layla's got these those
bleeding heart tetra.
She keeps why do my kids win fish? They win it was a gigantic raffle, and there was like several bags of fish in that thing and several tickets. And of course, I even laughed when I went back to the booth. I was like, they're going to win fish out of that. And she comes back with a bag of fish. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that's why I have angelfish in the house. I love angelfish. I'm just not breeding them. So they're just kind of like for show. And they're in a tank that could be used for breeding. So, but I think it's hilarious that my kids keep winning fish. Terrible. Back to you.
So the next one is don't oversell. We've had this a couple times where we got a hold of a shrimp that not a lot of people had, and I made promises to people that I would sell them the first batch or the second batch of babies, and you definitely don't want to oversell. You sell the first batch of babies thinking there's going to be more, and then they stop producing, or they die off or something like that. So definitely make sure that you've got a generation or two behind that you don't sell off of, that you can keep for future sales.
Coral said, is there a dosage of non-planaria that will kill snail eggs?
I don't think so. I think that even when you do some of the bleach dips and stuff like that, that some of the eggs can still survive. So I wouldn't try and get rid of snails. If you absolutely have a tank that you need to get rid of snails, throw some Burchardy in there, because we had some rabbit snails that were just completely dominated by ram's horn snails in the old Siloase tank, and we added some of Richard's Burchardy in there, and I had to get them out of there because they were devouring after the. I thought at first, oh, they're just going to attack the ram's horn snails, no problem. But then they just started eating everything else, all the other snails. And now, after a month of getting rid of the Burchardy, and definitely like 2 or 3 months after not seeing any ram's horn snails, there's still no ram's horn snails. There's a couple of OG rabbit snails that survived, and they're doing well. So if you want to get rid of some snails, add some Burchardy to the aquarium.
Tank Girl, I'm sorry, it got so hot in here. Do you have an issue with having a pond in Florida, especially with the heat? Do the ponds get too hot? Would a patio pond work?
There's definitely issues with ponds in Florida. If you don't have the right filtration, you don't do proper water changes and stuff like that, our pond gets green water depending on whatever is dumping into the pool at the time. There's no screen cover around it. So if the bushes just pollinated and dumped a bunch of pollen or shed their leaves or something like that, and there's a bunch of organic material in the pool, it'll get green watered. But for staying on top of water changes, the filter had been cleaned out, and by cleaned out, I meant just a very light shaking to get all the gunk out of there, not actually washing out any of the media or anything like that. And then we have some pink filter floss moss that goes on top that we swap out every month. But other than that, our pond does stay rather clear as long as we stay up on top of the organic debris going in there. But the smaller ponds actually are way easier to maintain and stay on top of, and stay pretty clear. But the ones in the greenhouse are always the clearest because no debris really falls in them. So if you throw them in a patio, you shouldn't have that much debris going into the ponds, not that much sunlight. I don't really worry about them getting too hot. It's more about, are they stagnant? Are they getting oxygen? Are they getting flow? And what's actually going into the pond itself.
Yeah. I would stay away from like little tiny ponds.
Bigger the better.
Yeah. But I've only seen the only ones we've ever had not even with fish though. I mean, even the smaller ones are doing fine, full sun and everything. So if you have a patio, always patio to me. That's what I would do. If I could build a whole patio for the backyard, that would be cool. Like let some sun
in it. You would have a single pond in there.
I know. Well, we would have chameleons. You act like I don't want them, and our daughter hasn't been begging us to set those up. We are hopefully getting there. I just lost what I was trying to do though. Aaron Armstrong, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said, I wanted to have a 10-minute chat about a species of shrimp that's rare here. Can I organize that somehow?
Yeah, go ahead. What kind of shrimp is it? Shelby will set a timer.
Who knows if we could even talk for 10 minutes about it.
I hope that's something I can talk about. But
thank you so much.
If we can't, maybe somebody like Tim or Mimic can do some research.
Yeah.
And pull up a link. But
oh man.
If it's something we have, though, I can tell you how to breed it.
Andy said, I learned too late that algae wafers turn yellow, Neos green. Will they eventually turn yellow again? I am not knowing how to cull because of the color.
Yeah, they'll turn yellow again. Mm-hmm. When we first got our yellow Neos, there was so much algae naturally growing in the pond that they all turned green. So I was like, oh no, this is going to be a hard one to deal with. Like, I thought I was going to have to move them, but eventually they ate all the algae and they went back to being their normal color.
And then Easy Rider said, what's the Plamsky cure? It's the product literally called Cure. It is on our website. I was trying to pull it up for you, but I'm kind of slow. Should be under additives, I believe.
Yeah.
There it is. Pull it up for you to show you. This will help with bacteria. I lost the comment I saw earlier that asked about what it would look like if a shrimp has the bacterial infection when it's dead. Like, is there signs on the dead shrimp? Most of the time you won't see on the dead shrimp because they just turn pink. Right before they die, they usually get like a milky appearance, but most of the time you don't catch it. You usually just see one dying at a time.
And they only get the white milky tissue if they develop muscular necrosis as a byproduct, basically, of the bacterial infection. Mm-hmm. So they can still get one and die without even having that. So
you don't really see it.
When your shrimp dies and you take a picture of it and you send it in and they're like, why did it die? Here's a picture. That doesn't really help. We need parameters and stuff like that. But the cure is an antibiotic for shrimp that after like 4 days of us using it, we stopped seeing any of the deaths in the aquariums. And then it's only a 7-day treatment. So we buy it in bigger, larger containers for ourselves, especially now when we get new shrimp. And then, like, we made sure we had some on hand when we brought home shrimp from the international contest, because you never know what they're going to come home with. So dose the tanks with that just to be safe.
Yeah. And one day we do plan on moving. So definitely need to have that, because we are not going to get those tanks there successfully without some of them being, disrupted,
And I need to do a video on the cure, but right now, Shrimp Fit, the cure, and the Aquachar are the 3 things that I recommend everybody should have in their medicine cabinet. The Shrimp Fit has some beta-glucan in it as well that you can help feed the shrimp to help increase their immune system.
Johnny said, what is the recommended inches of substrate best for shrimp tank without rooted plants?
So for me, how thick the substrate depends on how often do you want to change out the substrate, because the thicker the substrate you go, in my experience, the longer the substrate buffers and stays lower. So if you do 1 inch, you might get 6.0 for the first 2 or 3 years. And then after that, it'll start to creep up 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, up to 0.5, 6.5. And then you're not going to want to use it anymore for bee shrimp, right? But if you were to do 3 inches, you might get 4 or 5 years out of that without having to swap it out. So it all really depends on what you would like to do, what you'd like to get out of the aquarium. 1 inch at least, gets you above this little black frame on the bottom of the aquarium tanks, but I like to go more, and then I always slope it. So there might be like 1 inch in the front, but then there might be 2 to 3 inches towards the back underneath the sponge filter.
Oh, there's a comment. It was Nate who asked it. Christy said, but I need to do a full clean out of my tank. How 100% clean? It really depends on what you're doing and why you need to fully clean it out. And depends on what kind of shrimp you have. If it's Neos, most likely you can clean it all the way down and then fill it back up, and the Neos will survive. if it's that bad of a tank and you should probably just restart if it's that bad. It really depends on what you're trying to clean.
Yeah, like Shelby said, the restart, setting up another aquarium while you reset your aquarium, there's no shame in having like a little quarantine tank that's smaller than what the shrimp need. But it would definitely be safer if you have to swap out substrates and stuff like that. It's risky business keeping the shrimp in the aquarium or even in just like a little bucket and then adding it to them the same day or something like that. I would definitely prefer having another aquarium to move everything to, and then doing a deep clean on the aquarium, letting it run for a week, and then moving everything back.
Crafty Crab said, I just want to let you guys know my son orders from you, and as his mother, I get excited when his order comes in as well. You guys have the coolest shrimp. Oh, thank you. That makes my day. That's so wonderful. It's so funny how like certain hobbies can make children and their parents a little bit closer just because they share the same interest. You know, a lot of times, you know, they could ruffle feathers, whether, you know, like a sports dad has a video game kid or a tomboy mom has a really girly girl kid. So it's nice to have something in common that you can both get excited for. So I'd love to hear that. SC Caterpillar said, I told my daughter to enter for anything in the raffle except fish. Yeah, I was not the brightest, and I felt so bad because there was nothing like the kids really wanted up there. They were all like Layla, of course, didn't want this awesome tank. I wanted her to put all of the tickets. It was a short tank, like cube. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it, but it's awesome. And she wanted 0, and I'm like, well, I mean, you like these fish, right? They were the glow angel fish in the same box as these tetras. And I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool to come home with the pink angelfish. I'll be happy for those. And she's like, all right, I'll put one ticket in. And I didn't realize she could have won different fish in that. I was so upset when she came back.
But they all made it home in like the worst water too. So these things
like barely any air in the bag too.
Yeah, they are tanks, super resilient.
They
One of them was
cool.
on its side, and I was like, "Oh, this poor little guy didn't make the trip." And as soon as it hit the fresh water in the aquarium, it was like, "I just needed oxygen. Thank you, sir." And it was fine.
Dixon says, "How do you spell the fish that eats the snails?" And Eduardo gotcha.
Oh, so, yeah.
Thank you, Eduardo. Is it just me, or is it like I'm literally burning up?
It is just you. I am fine tonight, but every time you tell me it's hot, I definitely like feel like the lamp on my forehead. But other than that,
I feel like that. Something's burning me up. Johnny said, Fluval stratum aqua soil, New York City tap water. Oh, what part of New York? Trumpet snails, Java fern, Java moss. What tap water shrimp would you recommend?
All right, here's the problem. It's like Shelby said, what part of New York? I need to know what's your GH and what's your KH, because there's some people in New York that have almost RO water, and just tap water is not going to work for that. You have to add in some type of minerals back in that water. So chances are you're going to want to add in something, and it's already going to have KH in your water too because of your tap water. So I would probably do some type of tiger shrimp, but I would also make sure I have a TDS pen and I know what my tap water is, or I mix my water to a certain TDS because it's not high enough.
Welcome in. Jennifer says, at what temp do blue dream shrimp reproduce? They are in a 5-gallon cube, plants, bladder snails, no heat or filter.
So temperature does not matter. We have shrimp breeding in the winter when the water temperature is in the 40s. They're still pregnant. They're still doing their thing. It just slows down. However, you've got no filter. The no heater thing is a good thing because that's the next thing we're about to talk about. But you definitely want to make sure you're doing more water changes than normal if you don't have a filter. So if you're trying to get shrimp to breed and you've got no filter and you're doing no water changes, that's the reason why.
Can someone make me a shirt that says, yeah, sure, your water parameters are fine? I cannot tell you how many groups, like, all day, like, oh, my shrimp are dying. And then they're like, but my water parameters are perfect. Like, something's wrong. That was unrelated to that. Sorry. I was reading someone else's comment, brought it up.
But in the past, though, we have had heaters fail and stuff like that, and it's caused issues.
That literally was the next
Yeah, it really was. So I just recommend that if you have, a good enough room temperature and you're just keeping Caridina or Neocaridina, there's no reason to have any type of heater in the tank whatsoever. And I'm talking like 50 degrees or higher. And if you're living in your house and it's under 50 degrees, I'm not saying you're crazy, but I would like to know what AC brand you're running, because I'd like to get our house colder if possible.
Well, in the wintertime, they do have it go down quite a bit. I know because when I stayed at my uncle's, they had heated blankets for the winter. Their house got down to like the 60s. So, but I mean, you'd have to be in like the 40s for it to be like a really bad problem for a lot of these shrimp besides Sulawesi shrimp. And that's it. Like, that's the only ones we would ever always keep a heater for, because they will not breed in the 70s. They will only breed in the 80s. You're not going to get them. We tried to transition them slowly. It doesn't work.
But I would prefer a space heater over actual heater in the aquarium. So,
Aaron Armstrong, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says they're dragon bloods, blue calcios. There are no successful colonies in Australia. We get them as runts from black calcios. They do best in neoparameters, not Caridina, and they usually breed male.
So, for us, blue calcios have always been a little bit of an issue for us as well. We've never really been able to get the numbers up, just like yours. Ours have always come from the black calcios, and we've never really been able to get enough numbers to get them to breed out. And I do actually think that a lot of them have been actual male as well. Plamsky also had issues with the blue dragons. There are plenty, though, of successful breeders here in the United States that do actually keep them in breeding colonies and have them going, and they're stabilized and stuff like that. But there's a couple people that just swear that the calcios do better in higher TDS. So I'm not sure where or what TDS you guys keep them, your tanks at on average in Australia. But like in Asia, they keep them at 110 TDS. In Europe, they keep them at a little bit higher, 150 and up. But it seems across the board here in the United States that 180 to 220 seems to be the best way to breed out the dragon bloods. But if you get any blues from your blacks, you should be able to breed them back with some of the black females to try and get them to breed out more and stuff like that. But they are a little bit more sensitive. I don't know why exactly.
I wasn't listening to you. Did you just tell them that it's a higher TDS?
Yeah.
That could be Caridina still parameters, but a higher TDS?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading. Sorry. Christy says, I have a tank of yellows, but babies look orange. Is that normal?
So this is more like a problem with people's eyesights and their opinion on yellow and orange. A lot of people think that the yellow shrimp are orange until you put them next to an orange shrimp. And then it's total night and day difference on what the actual coloration pigmentation is. And so until you've seen them side by side, sometimes it's different.
We'd have to see a picture too. It can help a little bit, but also phones manipulate color as well as lighting and substrate.
The one thing I want to go back to Aaron is I also think that when I get some of the blue babies out of my blacks, that it's like a lower grade black pigment and that it'll change to black as they age and grow up. So maybe the females, they're able to get, bigger, more wider, mature pigmentation and stuff like that, and that's why they, you're having an issue with them, is because as they age, maybe the blues will hold uglier color. So maybe the blue calcios are just lower pigmentation black calcios, but it's still a strain of shrimp that nobody actually knows the exact recipe except for one guy. And when he dies, his wife is instructed to share the recipe on how he made it. So I found that tidbit a bit cool. Found that out thanks to the Bloomfields.
Stephen P. said, I'd love to change my substrate as often as never again. Yes, agree. So our way of doing things here, especially with when it comes to changing substrate, as if it's not buffering as low, especially for Caridina, we don't really change it. What we do is set up a new tank for those shrimp.
And then the tiger shrimp do really well in the old dwindling down Caridina tanks, because they still have the aqua soil, and I find that they never actually get to neutral pH, at least not yet, right? Even our oldest ADA tank is still at like 6.8 pH, which is still on the acidic side. It's not neutral, but it's not low enough for Caridina, for Tai bees, crystal shrimp, and stuff like that. But the tigers and some of the hybrids, they do great in it.
Sis had to go get me a small fan. I forgot we had small fans. It took me, I was actually thinking about we have a giant standing one for the bedroom, which I absolutely love and adore, but where did all our fans go?
They're in the back of the
car. That's so far.
And I would go get it, but the thing is I'm locked in here. That's why when I was like, Shelby, the dogs are blocked out, I had Shelby go do it, because it's legit not an easy task for me to get out of here. I have to cross over 90 different cords, 7 different tables, 3 power strips, 15 different sets of shoes. None of them are mine, by the way.
This time. Hey, is there? There's one. One pair is yours.
Those are my shoes. I'll be putting them on. I'm not walking over them.
Mike said, you often talk about his or her shrimp, not ours. Do you have a shrimp prenup or something? You know what's really funny? He just can't get things right sometimes. I'm just kidding. But we do have specific tanks that are our responsibility. So when it comes to Caridina and culling, so like the Neos are generally a shared responsibility. If we don't both do it, there's no way we're keeping up with it. We both cull, we both go out there during the week, we both feed and take care of them. But inside, generally Grant takes care of most of the Caridina, especially doing water changes because he's home full time, where I'm just taking care of like loose ends that need to be done around the house and things like that. But I specifically have some that I love and that I want to deal with so that I can compete into the international shrimp contest. Now, I will mess with Grant all the time when he gets like a really nice line, like, said this is my tank now, that he gets it really good and going. And then I'm like, it's my tank now. I fed it a little bit more than you.
For a second. And I'm like, no, those are my freaking white dominant fancy tiger shrimp. So get out of here.
They're so nice. They're really good. And he gets mad at me every time I claim that they're mine. Like every time I feed him, I'm like, oh, they're mine. I'm taking credit for these because I'm feeding them.
And she gets mad anytime I call her Galaxy Pintos.
Yeah.
I go into Layla's room a lot.
It gets me mad.
I call my shrimp a lot. And when I feed them and I see a couple ugly ones at the front of the aquarium, I'm like, ha, you can't touch me. I'm like, can. You're out of here. Yeah. And then Shelby's like, what is going on? There's way more shrimp in this tank yesterday. And I'm just like, they were all ugly.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. So, like, if I was to do that in his tanks, he would be very mad. Unless they were for sure, like, steels. Like, that's fine for him to call out all my red steels because there's a lot of red steels that come out of Pintos.
But I remove all the ones without any high dominant dot spotting on the face.
Which, I mean, understandably, we spent a lot of money on making those a higher quality shrimp tank. So, no, there's no prenup or anything. If it came down to it, I'm not going to hustle him for any of the shrimp. I would just go buy more. I have the sources wherever I want to go get them. not like it's an issue.
You leave me, there's a ban on anybody selling shrimp to you. I have connections.
I could just buy fish.
Don't try me.
It's not a problem. You're ridiculous. He's threatening me. You heard that, right? This is live.
I'll never be able to buy another shrimp this side of the Mississippi or that side of the Mississippi for that matter ever again.
If we ever do get married, I hope that's in his little vows, and that's just it. Be like, you think that you're gonna leave me? It's just that saying right there. Everyone in the audience would be like, really? And then we could make it a TikTok really and make it go like viral, because like just saying the dumbest thing during your vows will obviously go viral real quick. Aquazen said, just saw your video on keeping fish simple. Thank you so much. I hope you made it through the drastic 2 hours. Said, love you guys, and I can't wait to buy some shrimp. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Haven't been reading, so you can go on to your next one.
Talk this much. You gotta take a breath. Take a breather. Relax a little bit.
I'm so fed up with you.
All right. So the next issue is actually a new one for us.
Look at a fan right here.
One of the last stands that we set up with the new fluval biostratum, which has its own bacteria not built in, but added into the substrate already. So when we got in the substrate to try out the first time, I think I just let it cycle for way longer. However, when we set up the new rack, I let it cycle for 30 days, added shrimp to it, did the video, knocked it out, and I was having some issues with the shrimp that even the cure didn't get behind, and I couldn't figure it out. And the only thing that I can, after talking with a couple of not even fluval reps, but other people at one of the shows we were just at who really know a lot about bacteria, thinks that the two bacterias, the ones that I use and the ones that is in the soil, kind of fought one another and just made an environment where it just wasn't very well. And the first time I fed the shrimp, I really saw a lot of issues, and I actually got a lot of the shrimp out of there. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on. All the parameters were perfect, just like Shelby's shirt says, and couldn't really figure out what the problem was. Talked to Fluval, told him, hey, I don't know what went wrong, but like just the biostratum tanks I had issues with. But the substrate itself was buffering and everything like that. And they're fine now after I kind of let the tanks recycle out and let things go. But in the future, definitely want to avoid mixing up different bacterias. I know I like to use the Microbacter 7 from Brightwell. That is 7 different strains of bacterias. But I think there's strains that won't try to outcompete, dominate, or battle one another. I'm not exactly scientist. I don't know the exact ins and outs. No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
You lied.
I know. I gaslit you this whole time. I told her I was a doctor, a scientist, and a millionaire, and that's why I had all these tanks. Yeah. But she found out the millionaire one really quick.
You didn't have any of these.
But yeah, mixing bacteria in the filter bacteria in shrimp tanks is definitely something I got to avoid. I was listening for the fan and it totally threw me off. But in the future, if you want to try out the biostratum, maybe just not add in any extra bacteria and just let it run for 30 days and let me know. I'm going to try it out, let it run in a different aquarium. But we got to let Shelby's fish room get built before I can try it out.
JW Aquatic says, if my TDS and my Caridina tanks start to get up into the 150s, can I add RO water to get it back down, or do you recommend a water change with remineralized water at right target TDS?
It really depends. Like what's your target? Like, are you aiming for 140? Maybe you should just keep it at 150 and just start doing water changes at 150 if the shrimp are all doing well. I might not want to bring it back down, but you can definitely top off the aquarium if that's the reason why your tank went down or up in TDS. Doing a slow RO drip will definitely get your numbers back to where you want them to be, and then do your water change at the desired TDS, but not on the same day usually.
Aquazen said, I wanted Silhouette, but the temps made me hesitant. They are so worth it, honestly. Like, I'm not big on the heaters. I absolutely hate it, but like, those are my favorite shrimp, so I'm going to talk about it. I love the rabbit snails. They just do phenomenal with the heated tank as well. They'll survive in tanks that are not heated, but they just do really well. And then, of course, the cardinal Silhouette are just like, they're so different. They're almost like a saltwater looking shrimp, which they kind of look like I think it's the fire shrimp in saltwater. So it's pretty cool to see. To me, it's a little bit worth it. And just keep an eye on your heater as well. Just getting a good quality one. Most of them have lasted. And honestly, we're probably just going to swap out these ones soon just to not have the worry while we're traveling that it could happen. So. And back to you.
All right. So the next couple of them, that's all I have for us. Like there might have been I have a couple more stories about failures, but they're other people's failures.
Yeah.
And then the last one's not really a failure. It's just a stay away, caution from it all costs. But
it could become a failure.
The shrimp hobby altogether, we really haven't had much issues with. Overall, it's been a massive success, and our issues across the board have been with always less than 1% of all the shrimp that we've been keeping. So I don't want any of these failures to deter anybody from keeping shrimp or trying out something new or something like that. But hopefully somebody learned from our lessons and won't have the same mistake moving forward. But
even with
keeping shrimp is super easy is what I was trying to get at.
Even with all these mistakes, we still had success. So take that with a grain of rice to where we are today, and we still made all of these mistakes. I see some people that have a few mistakes happen and they just want to quit the hobby altogether. And it's we're all going to make mistakes. And I know it's the worst way to make a mistake is learning the hard way. And unfortunately, it's at the cruelty of an animal. So it really does hurt your feelings, especially when you do something wrong, when you think that you know what you're doing, but you can still have success and still make it in the long run. So just keep up with it. Hagen Hill Design, welcome in, says, are you guys keeping endlers with any Neos? I do have endlers in multiple Neo tanks, but most of them are with wild Neos. And then I have them in with yellow Neos, which they're alive. They're not breeding as much as I would like them to. Usually anytime we put fish in the tank, especially in a smaller tank, maybe in a bigger tank they would do a little bit better. But when you have them in a smaller 10 to 20 gallon tank, the shrimp get a little too scared and just don't feel comfortable enough to breed because they know those endlers are going to pick and eat their babies. But the wild shrimp seem to be doing a good with them because they're so clear that they can hide and camouflage where our yellows stand out. So they might be breeding and then just being eaten. That's the same with bright reds or blues might be able to blend in if you have a black substrate. They might still breed, but the wilds are doing just great with the endlers.
And the yellows have a ton of moss in the tank. I mean, we just don't see any babies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they got plenty of hiding spots. It's just I feel like they're not comfortable enough. It's mainly big females in that. That's actually the tank that I pulled out that I got second place in the international shrimp contest with my yellows was that tank. So they're surviving. I don't know about thriving. So, but they do look cool. My wild tank definitely breeds. I definitely have tons of babies in there. Who knows how many more babies there would be if I didn't put the endlers in there, but the endlers tank got broken by a jar of peanut butter. So they only had one option. It was to go to the tank right next door. So
we've got the crown tail ones right here also that are with some more on Neos too, though.
Yeah, we have 3 tanks down here with Neos and
we've got some carradine in now, and with the scarlet endlers behind us.
Oh,
some yellow King Kongs.
nice. My scarlets will be evicted here soon.
We've got ponds outside that are ready to go for the guppies.
We have so many fish that are ready to go outside. We really got to get on that. Victor said my blue calcios were not really breeding for me, and I added a couple black and red calcio females, and now I have a bunch of babies. One batch were all blue.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The way calcios are, they're just like Taiwan bees. You can mix all of them. The reds are the golden calcios, the black calcios, the blue calcios, as well as the scorpions, which are just like a heavier red dominated red calcio.
Lady Diane said flying peanut butter. No, it was, my son was going to try to put it away in the cabinet, and it just slipped right out of his hand, cracked the whole tank, and we had to emergency rescue some fish and everything. And just so you know, we do have a nice little fan, so we did get those. These are actually for making a mess, apparently, but yeah, for the shows and aquascaping, because I usually get like overheat. Those buildings get so hot on like setup days because there's so many people walking around. Everybody's body temperature is going up, heating up the whole room. On top of the fact that like they're not properly AC'd. They're usually big like hangar buildings, so they're not properly AC'd. And then on top of it, they lift up the doors. So there goes any chance of AC ever making it. So most people are literally like dying. I'm like surprised no one's had like a heat stroke, because it's gotten like Texas gets hot and like it's pretty bad. So we found these fans at Home Depot. They were $15, and you can actually run them on batteries, which will be good if a hurricane happens to cool down the house. We could have a few of these. They won't do very well, but they'll do something, you know, push some air around. Or you can have it plugged in, which we just did a plug in for now. No space for shoes, only shrimp tanks. That is true. It is funny. What? Back to you.
I do have the other stories.
Yes.
So this was not us, but I did have a buddy, Eddie. I did his videos before on making profit out of your aquariums. I still go hang out with Eddie. It's just filming and doing those videos. It's just I don't have enough time in the day to do that anymore. So he's still got all of his stuff going. He's got a bunch of ponds and stuff like that. However, back in the day, he had aquariums throughout his entire house. Now they're all in the one area. But when they were back in the entire house, he was just having these random deaths. And we had already covered pretty much everything I had talked about tonight. And there wasn't any issues going on. And, one day we came over to the house, and I could strongly smell Febreze. And I go, hey, I think this is why your shrimp are dying. And Eddie goes, seriously? You think that's why? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah. Like, you don't need to be spraying Febreze. Like, as long as you just keep the house clean, make sure there isn't trash and stuff like that, you don't need the Febreze, yada, yada, yada. And if you are spraying it, though, expect dead shrimp. So a couple weeks goes by, and Eddie's like, yeah, dude, still got dead shrimp. I'm over at this house, and I'm like, yeah, but, like, dude, I can still kind of smell, like, Febreze in the air. And, like, you're lying to me. You're still using the Febreze. And he's like, oh, yeah, but this is what we're doing. And he goes to the vents and sprays it in the vent. Well, the vent and the way Febreze works is it goes through the air and, bonds with different particles throughout the entire air. And it was just going into the aquariums regardless. So you definitely have to worry about using Febreze and Lysol and different kind of sprays and stuff around the aquariums. There's even certain candles that have given people issues and stuff like that. Having lids on the tanks isn't always going to help out when you're using bubblers and sponge filters and stuff like that are just going to pump the gas into the tank anyways. So definitely make sure you're avoiding perfumes and sprays around your aquariums.
Yeah, it's just, and people got to realize that's not good for your health in the first place. That's chemicals. You're just spraying straight chemicals in the air. So it's not good for anyone to be breathing it in. Yes, like it takes a little bit more work and you need to get the house clean, but it's really worth it for your health's sake in general, just to not use anything like that. I don't use any of the plugins and things. They're banned in a lot of places because they can cause cancer. It's different chemicals pushed into the air, and candles make me have breathing problems, so I just don't use them. I used to be like big on incense too, but those are made with an extreme amount of chemicals, and the people in the factory are very sick from it. So it's like something you just don't want to burn in your house or spray in your house anyways. It's just better for you in the long run. Vibes Aquatics, thank you so much for the $1.99 super sticker and saying that you can't stay. Love y'all. $1.99. I hope you all can make it to Vibes Live this week. It is his birthday, so
On Thursday.
I don't think it's Thursday. It's this week sometime, so I don't know which
Told me
day.
today was
I
Thursday.
said Thursday was his live stream, and it's his birthday week. So if anyone could pop in and say happy birthday to Vibes, I know he'll appreciate it. He's a good person. He's always supportive in the Fish Fam and always reaches out to everybody. So it's really nice to see that. Thank you so much, Vibes. Back to you.
All right. So another story. Shelby had this kid who was from Kansas, homeschooled, and was really into like making side hustles and side money, flipped sneakers, did a bunch of other stuff on the side, and found out that Shelby and myself were doing the shrimp, and he thought that he could make a little extra side money by setting up a little aquarium in his room, and he went ahead and set up the aquarium exactly how I told him, did everything the way I told him to do it, got his own RO unit, everything, so that way he could take care of his shrimp. And the very first shrimp he started out with, and at the time, were fancy tigers. They were our most expensive shrimp that we had. We might have had some boas or galaxy pintos at the time, but we didn't have any of those available. So for him starting out, the galaxy tigers weren't an option, but the fancy tigers were his most expensive choice that he can get and start off with. Not exactly easy, but he did get them breeding. He did get them going, and everything was going fine until one day his mom saw her first palmetto bug. Now,
which they happen a lot in Florida.
In Florida,
if you have any palm trees in your front yard, expect them
not
to
even
come
just
in.
palm trees.
I know, it's just more common.
They use palmetto bug as a way to kind of like soothe the word of cockroach to get people to move to Florida, so they wouldn't be worried about cockroaches. They would be worried about these things called palmetto bugs or palm tree bugs. These things are going to be harmless. Don't worry about them. Well, they're just big old cockroaches. Like, they really are just big, massive cockroaches. And it doesn't matter how clean you keep your house or how well sealed you keep your house. Chances are, once a year, you're going to see one in your house. And no matter what you do, bug bomb, cleaning, whatever, it's not going to prevent another one from coming back in another year's time or whatever has it. I'm pretty sure every single year that I went to school, one day throughout the school every year, a cockroach made it into one of the classrooms.
Someone was always freaking out about it.
And it's just a massive bug that isn't going to die right on contact with poison, and it can travel. These things are fast. They can get through spaces. They can climb through drains.
I thought you said get through space.
They could get through space.
It would survive an apocalypse.
But yeah, his mom saw her first palmetto bug in the house and went full commando, sprayed the entire house, but
bug bomb.
He knew it was coming, contacted me, and I told him, well, look, I'm sorry, this doesn't sound good. You're probably not going to survive this one. You're probably going to lose your shrimp. But what I would do is I would turn off the filters, seal up the aquarium, bag it all up, keep it all zipped up nice and tight. That way none of the spray gets into the aquarium, And then when it's all said and done, you can clean up everything and turn back on the pump, and it should be fine. Well, his mom did the bug bomb and took him to Disney World like every new Florida resident does. All right. So he gets back from Disney, takes the bag off the aquarium, checks on the tank. There's only one dead shrimp, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. Like that one dead shrimp probably didn't even die from chemicals. It probably died from the lack of oxygen. The tank was turned off, whatever. One shrimp being dead. Wow. Well, Dylan's mistake, well, I didn't mean to throw out his name, but there it is. His mistake was he had the net on the counter, which wasn't in the bag, protected from the spray. So when he put the net into the aquarium, instantly all the shrimp started dying and acting lethargic because you put bug poison that was on the net into the aquarium. This was pre-Aquachar days. I didn't even know what to tell the kid. He didn't even ask me, and he told me about it like a week later. Like, yeah, the bug bomb killed all the shrimp after I dipped my net in it. Because I talked to him when he got home, and there's only one dead shrimp in there. So, yeah, if you're going to use any tools or anything like that, or bug bomb the house, I would have just told him, put the net, just submerge it in the tank. Just leave it in there. That's like the safest spot for it to be. It won't get rusty over a couple of days.
So Abstract said, have you ever kept or planned to keep mud skippers and you could feed coals? So we do have a mud skipper, and I do feed it, but I feed them Opalula shrimp that are like not that great. We have so many Opalula.
Is that where the bag of Opalula shrimp went?
No, they should.
I couldn't find it.
Oh, great. It's somewhere. I know. I just saw it too. I feel like it's somewhere on the counter.
They're Opalula. They're good in the bag for about a bazillion more years. But like,
right, you could
I thought you did that. I was like, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna do with them.
What we normally do with them. But yeah, he likes to eat the Opalula. They survive for like a few days because they're brackish water mud skipper and then the brackish water Opalula. That's what I feel like. That would have been their diet anyway.
They went to the auction.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. All right.
I was like, I swear I saw the bag.
They're in a good home now.
Made it with the auction. Let's hope so. Let's hope that people know that they're brackish water.
No, I know who bought them. They're in the good home.
Okay. So our Neos are at 303. Is that bad? Now I'd say it's only bad 303 if you use RO and did KH minerals only. But
well, you can't do KH minerals only. Like I don't think anybody sells that. But
yeah. GH minerals only.
Yeah, but they still should be fine.
That'd be too close to Neos to me. But I think they need GH and KH for those. But tap water 303, great.
If it's tap water, the only thing I like to check out is make sure you don't have a water softener system. Then your KH can be high, your TDS can be high, but your GH can be low, and it throws off that whole. I use my TDS number as a gauge.
Yeah. That's true. But usually the Neos like more minerals than Caridina, so. Night Owl said, not as sure if you saw it, but I sent an email a few days ago. It's about what we were talking about, Clash Grant.
No, I did not see the email. Saturday we were pretty busy with the auction, getting out packages. And then we went out to dinner with Lucas Bretz and Sarah and Wesley because they watched the kids for us when we went to the last two shows. So if it was on Saturday or Friday night or something like that. And then Sunday, we actually went to the Andretti go-kart raceway in Orlando. Enjoyed the arcade, all of the virtual reality things that they had to offer, and the racetrack, of course. So... like to say I dominated most of the day. Only lost to Jaden at the Fast and the Furious game. I was very upset about that.
We did a, oh my gosh, what's it called? Hyperdeck. Yeah. There was a Hyperdeck virtual reality game. That was like the coolest thing. That was like the highlight. I didn't get to do much. I just did that one. And it incredibly awesome. And like when I'm doing virtual reality, like I've put on the VR goggles before, and I'm like, it's kind of cool. It makes me really like motion sickness because I get like seasick, so it does make me sick after a little bit. But nothing ever felt real. Like I wouldn't have been like those people that put them on at home and they're like, oh, and like think they're like falling. But this hyperdeck moves, and then they have all this wind, and then like cold air, and then they have heat too. So it really did make you feel like you were moving. And it was like a helicopter. We're all like holding on to these like turrets and stuff. And I'm just like, this is a weird experience. This one actually feels like I might fall for a second, but it was just like tricking your mind. Like it was an incredible experience. I wish we could play there longer and it not cost so much. So I'm hoping in the future that these will be like readily available everywhere, and there will be like game stores back again, like the ones you could like overnight gaming. I would so pay monthly to go do something like that. Like that would be so much fun. So I'm excited to try more VR games of things like that. Like there's one down in Tampa that's got the Squid Games, and they hook you up with bracelets and everything. So it's like a full body one of you. So you could turn and look at everybody else and their whole movements and everything. So you won't be bumping into people. And it's pretty cool. But like I said, it's expensive for a little game that you're playing for like 10 minutes, and it's $30. Like it's crazy. Any more?
This was you on the list. You said you got to put duckweed. It's not exactly a fail that killed any shrimp or anything like that, but letting duckweed in the house is definitely one of my biggest regrets in the hobby. It is in so many tanks. I've talked about it last year as being a goal to get it out of the house. I talked about it this year as being a goal to get it out of the house. And we've gotten it out of tanks.
Yeah, it's out of a lot of them.
A couple of
especially
tanks
the 55s.
that were, the 55s are good. Those were problems. Those were hard ones to solve.
It's the 10s.
But like there's 10s, there's duckweed there just from the plants that we got not that long ago.
That wasn't my fault.
So that's a new tank since the last time I talked about duckweed that has duckweed.
Oh, man.
And I doubt I've gotten rid of another tank that so duckweed.
I'm the
keep it out of
problem
the
too.
house.
I'm like, it's fine. It's great because like it helps you with your tanks, especially if you're not on top of it. But then it becomes such a a hassle, and especially for shrimp, it's like really annoying because like one of the tanks we have, they're green shrimp, and you know how hard it is to get green baby shrimp out of green duckweed? Extremely hard. That's Lady Diane said, I hope you didn't freak you out too bad. Accidents. Glad you aren't throwing peanut butter at each other. Yeah, no. In the heat, this heat is driving people mad down here for sure. It's been hot, but no, he just literally couldn't get it on there right, and it just dropped back down. I was standing right there. We're kind of used to this at this point. I mean, when was the other one? I don't remember who it was, but one of the boys hit a handball into one of the glass aquariums we had before, and it was just like a little glass vase, which we shouldn't have had in the first place. But yeah, that was the last time we broke, and then shrimp broke the other tank. So Mike said, I enjoyed your tour video very much. Your collection was truly amazing and a testament to your dedication. So thanks for sharing such a spectacular assortment of Fortnite guns. Nice shrimp also. Yeah, thank you. We do pride ourselves in the guns. They are really cool, actually. He's got some really neat ones that are like, we haven't been able to hang up properly. We got to get like longer pegs for him because he's got like a Ender Dragon one from, is that Minecraft? I don't like Minecraft, so I think it's Minecraft. And it's got like huge wings that come out, so it can't like go on the wall. So there's a lot that we're missing from the video. But they are really cool, and he loves them so much. So, I told him one day, like you might pass them down to like his own kids, and he was like, no. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And I was like, really, dude? He's like, yeah, they're mine. Like, they're my collection now. And I'm like, oh, man. So I have a feeling when Jaden grows up, like, he'll have, like, a full wall of Nerf guns. And it'll be the ones probably from his room if he doesn't break them. Like, there's been a few that have stopped working or, they don't work very long because some of them are
the next time
battery
we're at the store,
operated.
we need to buy a pack of safety glasses though.
Yeah.
You never have enough when kids come over.
I know. Hashtag use Fabuloso. Yeah, that stuff is strong. I use that all the time. And there's one that's like a baking soda. So it's like a little bit more natural. And it really does take care of odors. Because like I have dogs. Dogs make so much odor. So it works really well. Most of the time people can't even tell that we have dogs when I mop. So.
And then one thing I want to say is this start of the year, I know we're halfway through it, has been one thing after another for Shelby and myself. So if anybody's reached out to us and they're waiting for a response or anything like that, we've got like a whole month before anything is like scheduled or anything that needs to get done or anything like that.
Well, I have something. So, I'm busy.
Yeah,
you're not.
You're busy, but you're always busy. I, though, on the other hand, I have time for customer service questions. If there's something I left unread or something just not responded to,
emails,
or if you've
make sure you send those
if you've emailed us for a sticker or one of the Sam Scales prints or a prize or anything like that, and we haven't gotten back to you, please forgive us. It has been we bit off more than we could chew this year because of everything that's come up. So we kind of got a good base underneath our feet now. We're settled. I don't know if you can tell. We're definitely more relaxed this week and not as done for and just wish that we were in bed sleeping this week as compared to like the last 22 weeks maybe. Why are you laughing?
Sin just got me.
What does it say?
Grant said, yeah, you're busy, Shelby. Cool story, bro.
Shelby's always got something to do, okay? But me, on the other hand, I'm back to just doing water changes and building racks.
Good for you, dude. I'm not gonna live that down. That's so good. At least someone else understands how I feel when you talk to me. I'll be like, I'm so happy for him. He's like, yeah, okay, cool.
I didn't sign up for 8 aquariums to escape for Carib Sea. But I did, however, move fucking 4 tons of stuff. So sorry.
You can't make it 2 hours? You can't make it 2 hours.
Apologize.
I'm disappointed in you.
I moved a lot of stone today, though, for your project. Hey, and I'm sure I will move a lot more stone.
I would move it if I could, okay? Justin said, how come you guys have decided against getting multiple generators and multiple portable AC units that hook the outward vent through the window in case power goes out?
Because we lost 5 aquariums out of 155, and all the expenses for everything you just counted would not equal up to the amount of shrimp that they would save. And not only that, but with what I know now and everything going on before storms, I feel confident that if we lost power for like 3 days, I'd have even less loss than the first time we had the hurricane. So
is there really a Fish Fam Link bingo going around? Because like Carl just said bingo and Stephen P said solid F-bomb, and then goes, ayo, anyone need that for their Fish Fam Link bingo card? That's great. If there is and I didn't know that, oh man, that's great. But on top of Grant's point on the multiple generators, we have been trying to move for several years. We just keep getting pushed back by other projects and other things we just like want to get done and just not the right timing or the right market to move. So we don't see reasons to spend that much money on something that we really can't fit in this house. We have maxed out the space. Well, we're outgrowing this house way too much.
We did the research to get a propane generator installed on the side of the house. It was going to be $11,000.
It was a whole house one though, right?
Yeah, it powers. It'll run our AC, so we don't need multiple generators. Don't have room for multiple generators, like Shelby just said. But the solution is one $11,000 unit. My issue is in the next 2 to 3 years, I don't think losing power will cost us $11,000. So I cannot justify spending that money And
where we plan to move, it would be wise.
The funniest thing is
middle of nowhere.
My parents over in Hawaii are always like, Grant, you got this big massive storm coming. You got to get out of there. You got to keep the kids safe. You got to keep the dogs safe. Bring them with you. Go to Tennessee, yada, 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 yada. And I always go, well, listen, we've got shelters in place. There's a plan worked out if the worst gets to that situation.
We're not even a half mile away from the school, which is a shelter.
And we're also never going to be involved in any storm surge because we live on like the only hill in Spring Hill, Florida. Okay, so I'm not too concerned with the bigger storms. We've got a brand new roof, yada yada yada, and so the problem would be tornado. Tornado can hit anywhere at any time. That would be the issue. But the last big storm that came through, we had a show in Chicago, so we're like, we're going. We booked it. We can't miss it. We got a shrimp show to run. Like there was responsibilities that had to be in place. So we had the kids with us.
Pennsylvania.
No, we were in Pennsylvania, and everyone was calling me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going home for 2 days, and I'm packing up, and we're heading to AGA. And so at that time, though, my parents were like, what do you mean you're not going to be home? This is da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I just can't make you guys happy. Like, if I leave, you're upset. If I stay, you're upset. But I was perfectly fine. Like, if we lost power, that we come home a couple days later and get everything back into the place where it needed to be. It's just shrimp. He's sleeping.
He's not sleeping, though.
He's sleeping. He's a big old bulldog. You want a pug, and you don't think that's an upgraded version of what a pug would do?
No.
So
He's got like breathing problems.
I felt like even if we lost power, we drove home on Sunday after the auction or before the auction started or whatever, we would have gotten home and I would have had very minimal damage, very minimal loss. We're not keeping thousands of fish yet. When Shelby has her whole fish operation, there's probably going to, we've already discussed having a wall unit in the bedroom because if in the next 2 years, if we don't move and there is a power outage, a generator only costs $500 to $800. A window AC unit's only $280 for the one we were looking at. That is less than $1,000. If Shelby has over 1,000 fish in the room, $1,000 worth of fish in the room, that would, be risking it if the power was off for that long and the temperatures or something like that were to get too hot. But majority of the fish I think she's going to keep would do better probably in warmer water anyways, except for the G'dayas, which aren't going to be in that room anyways. So I don't know if a generator would even make sense for that.
Benjamin said, what kind of fish operation is Shelby getting? A tail implant? That'd be cool. I could be a mermaid. That'd be fun. Justin said, oh, and Grant, when are you going to sell me some of those? I'm assuming you mean Hummel shrimp.
I got to send some to Luke first, but I did take a picture today, but then I was like, today. But then I was like, you know what? This isn't like a good enough picture to post. But there is a baby. That is it right there. The baby shrimp is baby Hummels. There's like 3 different sizes of juveniles to babies growing up. So I kind of want to wait for it to cool off before I send Luke any of them. So I'm thinking like November, I'll send some to Luke. I'm also working on clearing out the tank next to it. So that way I can move some Hummels into that aquarium and hoping that the parameters, the substrate, everything like that is so ideal that they'll do better this time. The last time I tried to split them up, I put them on the Akadama, the Akadama, whatever you want to call it, and that soil is trash. Would not recommend to anybody when you can get aqua soil. It's bad. It doesn't grow moss. None of the shrimp really did that well up there. I mean, got Black King Kongs, PRLs, and some of the steels are doing well. But like if you can breed crystals, congratulations. It's not that hard.
Stephen P. said just add potassium carbonate for KH or baking soda. Don't know how the shrimp react to that one.
Well, we don't want KH most of the time.
Yeah. Yes, there's also gross waste to mineralize. So I have duckweed on my arms as we speak. Yeah, those are terrible. Are the banana peels also radioactive or just the fruit inside? Bananas, do not put them in tanks. I still see people doing that.
I took a picture of Brandon's phone when we were at...
Zen said, when people don't know the dog is shrimp, it sounds like they had some massive shrimp poke out, like a mantis or something, and break out. That'd be crazy.
And I also found that if you get gypsum powder, that it'll raise the GH in your aquarium and not the KH. So I'm definitely going to try that out in the future on messing around with some cheaper minerals.
Oh my God. I still have not. I need to write this down. Some lady, Diana, sticker. I swear I wrote this down.
How does
twice.
she not have a sticker?
Because we keep forgetting to send her package.
I'm sorry, Lady Diane.
Do you have her address? Is that the problem?
I've asked.
Do you have her phone
Lady
number,
Diane. I do have her phone number, and I do have her address from when, we went to Missouri. But the problem is, I have a new phone, so I don't have those text messages anymore.
Passing one said, my wife likes to clean with vinegar. Vinegar is a really good option. Lemon too. Grant hates the smell of vinegar, so unfortunately I can't do that. But it is good. It works wonders, honestly. Like something so basic as lemon and vinegar will clean a house. My mom had this, she was trying to do all this cleaning because we used to use a lot of bleach and stuff like that growing up. And I mean, bleach on everything. And it was I have so much breathing problems. And she was trying to help out and do better. And so she bought this whole book, and it's just natural cleaning supplies, and it tells you the dosage to use with baking soda to vinegar to lemon, and that was mainly what they do on everything, and it works really well. Coro says y'all need to be suggesting videos ideas so you can win Sam Skill prints. Yes, if you ever have a live stream that you want us to do and make a topic of, make sure you comment on the videos, any of our videos. We'll see it, what you would like next week's topic. If we choose it, you'll win a Sam Scales print from us. I'm not caught up, so. The F word woke me up from a deep sleep.
I don't even remember what I said the F word for now.
Lady Dan says, I'm sending TGOE all my pennies so they can pinch them. These are cute. But, do you have her phone number still, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then just message her. Grant isn't channeling his Amish today. We were joking. Jaden wants him to shave off his entire beard. He thinks he would look better. And I told Grant that he should just try something different, throw Jaden off completely. Silver said in Hawaii, they know oceanic storms. Yeah, they're in a really bad spot. So obviously, and they really can't leave anywhere.
Yeah, but they were in Florida for many, many, many years. They survived or went through, there was Charlie and a bunch of other storms that went right. No, Andrew was pre-me.
Oh, yeah.
And so, there was 3 or 5 storms as part of Katrina that came through and did all that destruction to New Orleans many, many years ago. So they know what the hurricanes are all about, but yeah.
Coro said if y'all are on generators and heating or cooling are an issue, look into soft starts for your AC. They are different kinds, but they reduce the amp drawn on compressor startup. That's good. TK Tropical said, hey, y'all. All we have shrimp, but only 2 survived. Don't know why.
You help out with some parameters and stuff like that, we can try and figure that out. But we need a lot more information there.
Sin said, but would it be a shrimp tail? I feel like that would have a learning curve, and you'd be a really jumpy mermaid for.
It would explain all of the shrimp food she's got in her hair too. It is a Shrimp Envy sampler pack, packed full of complete baby food fight, shell, and growth. 6 grams of each. You get a good variety. So if you don't have 400 aquariums to feed all your shrimp, and you just have maybe 1 or 2, this is a great sampler pack to get a good wide range of nutrition for your shrimp. So try that out.
Craig's Catfish Cave, thank you so much for gifting one of the Garden of Eater memberships. If you were lucky enough to be gifted this Garden of Eater membership, make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com to get your member-only holographic sticker and your 10% off discount to our website, tgoeshrimp.com.
Congratulations. Welcome to the clan.
I'm going to have to just get like a pre-recording of that so then I can just press it. Wow, I've been deleted. That's good. No, just all the messages.
Not deleted. You're still in the contacts. I lost all my text messages from.
Coro says, go for the mutton chops just to mess with the kid. Oh my gosh, she would think that's so funny. No, I think that Grant could pull off like the mustache and the goatee. Honestly, I think he could do really good with that. Or just like even just like the beard around and then like shave all the way up. Come on, vote for that. Everyone vote. Don't say mustache only because those people give me the creeps.
But today, though, I watched a video on how to get the perfect curl on a handlebar mustache.
Oh, no, only certain people can pull that off. Like, we used to have a buddy in the hobby. His name was Ray. And he had that, and he was just like he reminded me of a little shrimp with like a little Pierre. Like, he's just in there cleaning the tank. Weak. It's just like he had that personality. It's like a little go-getter, like, I don't know. It just fit him. I feel like you should talk a different language if you had that. I don't think your mustache is like the material, the texture for that. Yours is a little bit more coarse. Thank you again, Craig's Catfish, for gifting a Garden of Eater membership.
I can sculpt them into daggers.
Nate said, odd question, can you seed a new Neo tank with an extra well-seeded Caridina sponge?
No, because they're 2 different parameters, so you're going to be shocking and recolonizing basically a brand new strain of bacteria onto a different parameter. So I would be more comfortable just adding in some Microbacter 7 or something like that than reseeding with an old sponge, especially from one set of parameters to another. If they're the same set of parameters, you might be able to get away with it, but I still don't like that whole reseeding idea.
Coral Works member for 10 months. Almost there. Thank you so much. Says Caridina Sula West say Opa Ula, oh my. Someone should make a shirt like that. It'd be cute. Thank you so much. Benjamin said you're getting pretty slick with that move.
There's a lot of stuff in her hair, so I've had a lot of practice.
Every time you bring that up, I wish I could go find that bird that landed in my hair all those years ago. I feel like it was supposed to be my bird, but I don't really like birds that much. But our daughter does. So Justin said, I'm going to build my first fluval stratum tank today. Will it lower the pH low enough for blue bolts and other Caridina shrimp? I'm sorry, it threw me off the way it's like Caridina. Sorry. I was going to use an undergravel filter. Continued.
All right, so fluval stratum with
the pipes that come up on both sides. Would that help with lowering the pH like an undergravel filter box? I don't see why it wouldn't help lower the pH.
All right, so the problem is the soil will be lowered without the use of your pipe idea or whatever. But if you're not using RO water with GH only minerals, you won't get the outcome that you're looking for. So, where did you go? We only have 1 minute.
You can read that. I can't hold it no more. There's one Eduardo says something.
All right. So we got email at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. That was not probably what Shelby was trying to get me to say. So, and this is for you, Shelby, and you walked away. Here's an idea. Have both of your kids do a live stream as Shelby and Grant. You can allow them to go off script too and let them do your stream while you go out to dinner. I don't think that's legal. Like, Jaden's only 12 and Layla's only 9. She'll be 10 soon. But yeah, no, that's not something we would do. However, did Jaden do the live stream with you last week?
No.
No, he didn't start it off with you?
No.
He said he wanted to.
I know. All right. Sorry about that. Gee, Fish said, I just realized that I know you from the Pasco Fish Club pre-2020. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's been so long. Yeah, that was right when it started up too. It was like right before.
No,
it wasn't
we've been going for a while.
The Pasco?
Yeah, because 2020 is when COVID happened. So
yeah.
we were already in charge of speakers.
It was a few months.
By then.
Yeah, a few months. Okay. That's cool. Well, thank you for joining us. Aquazin said, would Endlers not work with Sulawesi? I kind of messed up when they were talking about that. Maybe green neons or chili raspberries. I want a viewing tank, really.
The problem is the water temperature and the hardness. I don't know exactly a good fish that wouldn't predate heavily on the shrimp right off the top of my mind. That's something that
could take that higher pH.
More research and more to think about. Endlers might do all right in those parameters, but it might also cause them to grow quicker and be hungrier. And the Sulawesi shrimp are also smaller than Neocaridina and Caridina shrimp. So the
cardinals are not smaller.
All right, I disagree. They're definitely smaller overall on average than the full size adult Neocaridina that are in with the Endlers.
That's weird. It does say CPDs are from Sulawesi. They're native to Sulawesi, which is weird to think about. Huh. So I wonder if they would do better in parameters like that. Something to try out.
But there's 70 that said they wouldn't breed until they got into 80-degree temperature. So
yeah, so maybe something like that. But remember, like I said earlier, any fish in the tank usually does take down breeding. So
I'm down to go get a pond tomorrow for the emerald rasboros that we got left over from Richard. Almost all of them sold, Richard, but the ones that didn't, they looked like they were breeding this morning.
Cora says, don't do a goatee, do a full soul patch, which I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
But Craig says we want handlebars. Benjamin said I'm assuming handlebars should be it. Great grandma always called mustaches lady ticklers. That's too great. I like the mustache goatee combo. Thank you. I think that would be a solid one.
This wasn't up for discussion.
Lady said, I cut all Stan's hair off yesterday. Was almost to his mid-back. Wow, that's crazy. The beard is gone too. He looks 20 years younger. Like Grant looks like he's back to 18 if he shaves off his beard. It's funny, Layla gets so mad when he does it. She gets so mad when she goes, why'd you do that? She's like the most critical person ever. It's funny. Since said mustache and soul patch, only people creep me out of it. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think there's just like those movies or something. Are we taking a vote here?
No, we're not taking a vote.
Yeah. We're almost caught up in chat. Sorry. Layla mimics Shelby perfectly.
She can. And it is almost Father's Day, so you can look forward to a possible sale this Father's Day weekend. I'm not announcing what it is yet. I'll post it on Friday, either on Instagram and Facebook.
Have a good night, Lady Diane. Zen says my emerald rasboras have teeny mouths and don't touch the shrimp population. That actually might work.
We have some with our calcios left over from the show, and they haven't even eaten any of the smaller ones. So
yeah. See, Aqua says, but temps wouldn't work with the CPD. See, we've heard mixed reviews that people tell us to keep the CPD.
Lucas says the CPDs weren't breeding for him until they got up to 80, 84 degrees in temp, which is what we keep the Silase at. So
Mojo says, I have received my order today. Thank you so much. Awesome shrimp. Could not be happier. Thanks again. Thank you so much for letting us know.
I know there's a lot of new people that have been pointed out to the website that just, maybe made it over from Nick's video or stuff, or maybe from one of the shows. But we've had a couple people, like, they were so scared and paranoid about ordering for the first time online. And we don't have a problem walking you through it, coaching you and stuff like that. So,
well, Abstract said, Grant, you should rock a handlebar mustache for Aquashella Chicago. I don't know if he could grow it out in time for that.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's too soon, but it would be funny.
I'd be looking this November.
We're excited. Hope to see someone there too, any of you. But we're going to head out for tonight. Thank you so much for watching us and for all the super chats and gifted memberships. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all your questions and help and asking them. It keeps it interesting.